Jamie Dimon is the CEO of America's largest and most successful bank, JP Morgan Chase. At the helm of a company active in over 60 countries worldwide, Dimon played a pivotal role in the global financial crisis of 2008 and again in 2023.
Jamie Dimon, thank you so much for joining The Economist. You were in China recently, and reportedly you said that the Sino-US relationship was the most complex since the Second World War, the geopolitics around that. Henry Kissinger, I had a long conversation with just a few weeks ago for his 100th birthday, and he said to us that he thought that we were on the path to great power confrontation.
Yeah. I mean, we should be talking to the Chinese and they should be talking to us. I tell people when you go there, the first thing should be, let's talk about your family. Then the next meeting, maybe let's talk about the hopes and aspirations for your country. And then the third meeting is, we're going to explain to you what we're worried about. Let's have a real conversation. This is going to take real tough negotiations to get it right. I'm a firm believer, if you opened up our borders, billions of people would move here. You know, if you opened up our markets, trillions of dollars would move here. It's not true they'd move to other parts of the world. So we should be looking at our own flaws and not always blaming other people. The Chinese are not 10 feet tall. They import 10 million barrels of oil a day. They don't have enough food. We have all the food, water, and energy we want. Our GDP per person is $80,000. Theirs is 15. Our military is the best in the world. You know, and maybe they're caught up in a couple of areas, but you know, the notion that somehow America has to be that afraid of China, we don't. On the other hand, looking back 15 years, we all made a mistake. We should have been thinking this national security, unfair competition, and not just hoping it all ends up okay. They've been doing that by 10 or 15 years. If you look at how they think about supply chains, industries they want to dominate, they've been quite blunt about it, and, which I understand. They're trying to do a good job for their own country.
I was in Beijing a couple of months ago. You know, the view in Beijing is that the US wants to keep China down. Yeah. And the view in Washington is that China is a aggressive authoritarian regime that wants to create a world order that's kind of antithetical to democracies. I think there's an element of truth to both of those, and that's the problem, isn't it?
Our goal should be to lift up America, do a great job, keep our Western alliances together, both for the military, i.e. Ukraine, and to counter some of the bad guys out there, but economically, we need an economic comprehensive strategy too. That's trade, investment, you know, even like the IRA Act, which again, I support most of it, it wasn't done really thoughtfully with our allies, who looked at that and said, that is the most anti-European thing we've ever done. And you know, sometimes they complain too much, but they're also partially right. And so to me, we got to keep that all together, and we can be tough and mature. And we don't have to hold them down. We have to just protect ourselves. And there's a big difference between the two.
So when I listen to you, I hear you talking like this. I think that for a man who runs a very big, successful bank, you have a lot of ideas about public policy. Why don't you run for office?
I'm 67 years old. I think if you're going to...
That's young by the standards of presidential candidates.
Yeah, I think, I've never really believed I'm suited for it. And I also think if you're going to do that, you should practice. You know, you don't just say, oh, I'm going to run for office. You got to learn how to run for office. I think there may be common skills between a CEO in terms of administration, management, leadership, but also non-common ones. You know, you're dealing with a whole bunch of different issues, and a bunch of different venues and stuff like that. So, I think it's perfectly reasonable people think about it. I think it's very hard to do. And in fact, if you just look at history, it's almost impossible. You know,
well, except for Donald Trump.
But he is the exception, and that may be the exception for 100 years. But you know, every other American president spent a lot of time in politics or was a respected general, basically. I love my country, and to me, my family comes first, but my country's right next. You know, JP Morgan's down here. JP Morgan is my best contribution that I can do to, like we have 300,000 employees. We take care of them well, we give them opportunity. We bank the World Bank, the IMF, we bank Ukraine, we bank Poland, we bank cities, schools, states, hospitals. I'm very proud of what we do. We help our employees, we help 5 million small businesses. It's unbelievable. That's my contribution.